Recording
go,
in
baby.
progress, baby.
Oh, I love that sound. You know what that sound means? You know what that
What is
sound means
that?
to me?
That sound means your dopamine's going crazy, bro.
Exactly. The dopamines. That's what it means. Okay.
Hey,
That's
hey, that's dope. That's dope, Asif. You know how people say that nowadays. I wonder what they're gonna
I
say in
love
the future. They're gonna be like,
that's
"Yo,
crack.
that's
That's
high
crack
speed,
cocaine, bro.
bro. That's meta,
That's
bro.
that's that's metaverse, bro. That's straight VR. That's
That's
straight
straight
AR.
Matrix, bro. I love the Matrix, bro. That's what they're gonna be trying to say in the future. And
Put me
just
back
kidding.
into the Matrix, bro.
We're about to course correct them, y'all. So, all right, this is a critical audio experience, everybody.
This one's for
Especially,
everyone.
yeah.
This one's
This
for
is
every
really for
single one.
everyone, and now we'll just specify that, right? Because, like, this is for the people that are actually applying themselves and taking on more, right? Where you're building a business, you also got a family, or you got prospects for that. You're in groups, you're engaged, you got your calendar keeps filling up, like you got more and more and more going on, right? This is for you because Asif and I have been through it. We go through it all the time still. We are constantly going in this dance of feeling like you've bit off more than you can chew, right?
Yep.
But in a way where, because we've been through it so many times, and then you figure out how to get the chewing part done, and then you're like, oh, that was amazing, I'm so glad I did that, even though it felt like really uncomfortable now. And then it's like that, there's like a cycle of that. And so that's the cycle that we want to really talk about today, and fine tune the details to the extent that it helps you, whoever's listening to this, to whatever growth phase you're in, so you can realize, okay, it'll help you re-clarify and refocus. I'm not here to just say, oh, you'll just figure it out, buddy, good job, keep going. No, that's not how it works. You have to actually know what you're doing.
Right, exactly.
You know,
And you have to have the right, we're going to talk about the thinking and that you need to adopt in order to push your way through. And that's the first phrase to look at, is the only way out is through. So for those of you who have Technotutor, put that into your Technotutor. And for those of you who don't, and even if you do, write that down. And especially if you're going through one of those times when you feel like it's all too much. That thought of like, fuck.
Yeah, or like you get done with your workday, quote unquote workday, and then there's still more shit you got to do. And then in the morning, you got people texting you and calling you and all sorts of shit, and you got unanswered emails, unanswered text messages. Your inbox looks insane. Your boss wants something from you. Your team wants something from you. It's like that. And if you're not experiencing that, and you say you want to be a billionaire or make a lot of money, you're gonna experience it. So buckle up, buddy. We're going in.
So they have to face, because we're going to talk about the you need to put yourself through that. So going to talk a little bit about what that tangibly requires, which is organization, right? Time organization and structure. But first, the phenomenon that creates that. Okay, we're going to look at the phenomenon. When you first start a business, it's like you're dying for people to be up your phone. You're like, please, like, call me, like, speak to me and tell me that.
Like my post, please leave a comment and subscribe.
Right, exactly. And it's the beginning of a business, but over time, if you actually put yourself into your business,
the whole part of your business too, not just the sales or not just the marketing, but like the accounting and the fulfillment and all the shit you probably resist doing, right? Probably comes pretty easy for you to kind of talk to people about the business, be hype, right? Talk about the idea of the business, right? Share that, right? Maybe even get some sales, but then it's like, okay, now I got to fulfill on what I agreed to, right? That's part of the business.
Well, and actually, probably one of the biggest reasons that somebody will face this is because they neglected that. They've just focused on sales. They haven't focused on fulfillment and accounting and all the other pieces of business, because a lot of the times when somebody is coming into business, they're coming from a job. Okay. And this is a marked difference. I'm talking like a poet, a marked difference, a marked. I had one of those little
marking it. Mark that shit. The mark of the beast. Just kidding. If you got triggered by that, you like calm down. We're joking.
Yeah. There's a very specific difference between having a sales job and having a business, even if the forefront of it is high ticket sales or any kind of sales.
Mhm.
There's a specific difference in responsibility. Just because you can do a sales job doesn't mean you can get into have your own business where you might be doing the same kind of sales,
Mhm.
but there's so many responsibility points that you've overlooked that if you don't realize that there's a massive difference between being a sales guy and a business owner, even if you have nobody working for you yet, but that you just have to manage every piece of a business, you're going to create a very, very stressful experience yourself. And hopefully this audio is to support you to support you through that. When I say
Yeah.
hopefully, I mean hopefully you realize that this is what it's for, you actually apply it.
Yeah.
But even if you don't, I mean somebody will.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because like this is tried and true stuff. Like Asif and I do this every day. And I know both of us, like once a week at least, we're like, okay, what are we gonna do here? And then we'd figure it out. It's like that's how growth actually works. Like if you had all the steps laid out before you, that's not it's just not how reality works. Like then everyone would have a rich, successful business. It's like
Right.
you
Right.
part of business is risk, right? That's what it means to be an entrepreneur, is to take on that risk of building a venture that can theoretically, provide value, and then you get paid in exchange for that. And with that, though, it's like you're building it. It's kind of like a baby, right? It's like you birth this thing, and then it's here, and then the first year of that baby is the most likely to die, right? It's the weakest. It's like a weak entity that has to build and get stronger and more resilient. Like that's what your business is. And that's why it's so easy, especially even a few months in after you start seeing some change and some growth, that you end up tapering off. And that is that. I mean, we've made plenty of other of these episodes on like purpose and being clear on your principles. So that way, that should theoretically help you through. But we're getting bombarded every day, and the stress comes in, and the fear of money, and then the
We go
pressure of
back to our
life.
old programming.
Yes, yes, you go back to your old programming, and just your old slave programming, because you were not programmed as a young child to handle the responsibility of a business. But good thing, right? We're here to help you realize how you can reprogram yourself. And then guess what? Part of that reprogramming is you have to go live it, right? Day in and day out. Now,
So
yeah.
first
Mhm.
thing is you have to understand that if you're participating, if you're going through like, oh, I can't talk to people right now because I have to deal with this, or I can't deal with this right now because I got to talk to people right now.
Yeah,
If you're going through that,
I'll do that important thing next week. Like I'll do it next week when I can like have a moment to do it.
right, exactly. There's first you have to realize that that is a problem. That's what we want to communicate to you right now. That is a problem. You cannot accept that. Why? Because when you get to a certain point in your business, when like I was mentioning before, when we start, we're hoping that people are reaching out to us, and we wish we had a little bit of action in business. We're spending 8 hours a day on our business, but our business only warrants like 1 hour a day, just because we want to be in business. But then you get to a point where you're actually fucking in it, right? And you've brought in business, and now you have responsibilities, and
Mhm.
there are now things that are going to happen without you even putting yourself into it. So what I mean by that is because you have sales, you have clients now. Now it's not something that you can go to sleep on for a month and everything will be the same. It now has life. You now have to take care of that baby, of that business. You
Yeah.
have to now take care of it.
Hmm.
So the first thing to realize is if you've neglected your baby, you first have to forgive yourself.
Hmm.
You have to realize it was a problem and forgive yourself. So if you don't know what self-forgiveness is, you got to start the DIP light writing course. Just reach out to me or Mitch, just get you started. If you're going through this right now and you don't know what self-forgiveness is, just reach out to me or reach out to Mitchell and we'll support you with
And
that just for the
and here's what the self-forgiveness allows you to do. Imagine every day, right? From your life, the pressures of life, your thinking, literally just your thinking. It's like it's like accumulating. And then you're building up this pressure within you of all these thoughts and these worries and these emotions and these fears and this, you're talking to yourself, and then you're thinking of, oh, what would that person say? And you get this whole storm of energy built up in your mind. and it has nowhere to go. And so you either suppress it or you take it out on stuff in your reality. But if you're taking it out through anger or through snapping at your partner or through you got to go work out and just get really jacked up and all that, it's like you're literally harming your body. And so what self-forgiveness writing is every day is like you're steadily opening the pressure release, and it's almost like a river, and it went from a stagnant tumultuous river to now being flowing again, and it's like a smooth stream. But you have to write every fucking day, and you have to do it. And like, again, don't overwhelm yourself with like, oh well, now you tell me I gotta write, how am I supposed to do that? I have all this other shit. It's like, okay, you just fucking figure it out. Like, you're smart enough, just put it in your calendar, because there's some important shit you need to do that's gonna prevent this consequence from happening again. I'm going to say that again. There's some important shit you need to do. I would suggest do it in the morning because it's the easiest. It's where you're least likely to give in to your excuses. And then you do that every single morning without fail. Maybe you have to wake up 30 minutes earlier. Then you do that. And that then makes your mind a little bit more effective throughout the day. And it makes everything flow a little bit smoother. Then you do that the next day. Goes a little bit smoother. You do it the next day, a little bit smoother. And then a week later, now your business is flowing smooth again and you're clear on the next level. And then you realize, wow, I gotta not stop doing this. Right. But just sometimes we forget or we falter when we fall down. And that is called revenge of the ego. And your ego will take revenge. Don't be afraid of it. Just realize that might happen and then just go back to your system, right? Trust your process, trust the process, trust your training, and you'll be able to figure it out.
Right. Everybody has to understand. Right. And oh, by the way, just to put a phrase to what Mitchell was just talking about, sometimes it might feel like you don't have enough time or you're not going to do the writing, for example. This is the concept of, one step back, 2 steps forward. I would suggest 1 step back, 5 steps forward. But it's like, okay, you're taking a little bit of time away from quote unquote, oh, what I need to be doing. Right. Well, first, give to yourself. That's what forgiveness is. It's like you're giving to yourself the space that you need to actually operate really effectively.
Yeah.
Because look at it like this, right? You didn't handle some responsibilities, or you've let some responsibilities accumulate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of the stress that it's causing you, the first thing that we do is try to justify why we created that stress for ourselves. Because we don't want to accept that we just weren't good enough and we just fucking created stress, we're incompetent. Even though that's the reality. That is the reality, okay?
Can you just give,
you have to forgive.
can you just give a really plain example of that? Like how someone would have faulty thinking about that and then the actual
I will give you guys a personal example, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So taxes. Taxes and accounting, okay? I got my 2019 taxes done 2 years later. So it was a year and a half after the due date. A year and a half after the due date. So why? Because I was incompetent. I was like, it's fine. Like, there's more important stuff. There's more important stuff. But if you think about it, every day, every 3 days, every fucking week,
right,
that is a systematic issue that you are now wasting your energy on. You're wasting it. Because if you just solve the root problem, there you go. Now you have way more mental space.
Right. To think about how to now actually create more money.
Right. So point is, the first thing was thinking like, oh no, I got more important stuff to do. Rather than just realizing, oh, this is a problem. That's the first thing. Why it's a problem. And then forgiving myself for I was 100% me. I created the problem. But who wants to accept that they're their own worst enemy? We all say it. Oh yes, I am my own worst enemy. I've heard that before, right? I can be my own best ally. But the living of that is realizing that you need to be always taking 100% responsibility. So any little issue in your business is 100% your fault. So if you don't realize that through self-forgiveness, like I forgive myself for creating this problem. But as soon as you do that, it's such an amazing phenomenon. As soon as you write it out and you start reading it out loud, again, we have other stuff to show you the details of that. That's not the purpose of this. you will experience the mental clarity
Yes.
that comes with that.
Yeah.
100%. Right. So it's just really looking at this point of maybe you were a sales guy before and now you're jumping into business, or you were just a retail, clerk or whatever the case may be, and you're jumping into business. There are more dimensions of business than just selling. There are multiple dimensions of business. And the thing that will stress out is when you're not taking care of this in your accounting, and maybe you needed a license and you find out later you need a license because you didn't look at the laws of your state or wherever you are. Maybe you weren't charging sales tax, and now you're like, oh shit, I was supposed to be charging sales tax. Maybe it's probably the biggest thing, one of the biggest stressors is you're making sales, but you're not following through on fulfillment. If you don't follow through on fulfillment, whatever you agreed to with the client or whatever, that's going to create a big stress for you. And that is probably one of the biggest compounding stress, because that affects like everything affects everything, but sales is like the kernel of it. Right. And so go ahead, Mitch.
Well, yeah, I'd say one other piece that a lot of people really struggle at too within business is then generating leads, right? Because that's where the main focus has got to be. Like, I mean, there's so much, we can make many episodes just on each facet of business, but the underlying thing is realizing, okay, are you going to be the kind of person that when you make your decision to, I am going to build a business that is going to have a real impact in the world, right? And there's actually only very, there's, I mean, we know which businesses actually do that. Like a fundamental supporting the world, right? Let's just say, right, you make your decision of, I'm going to build this business, okay? Now, realize and anticipate beforehand, you will have moments where you have shit hits the fan and you will want to go back into the system, right? You will want to just go back and, okay, just get my fucking job. I'll just do that. And it's just too much. But really those moments are where you see who you really are, right? You don't see who you really are in the moments where it's super good, even though of course you're always able to see who you are, but you really get to see that stuff that you've had suppressed. The deep dark stuff of yourself comes out when the times get tough. I'm not saying just wish for hard times all the time just so you can see yourself, like, no, but realize that especially early on and throughout the whole thing, there's going to be hard times. So you got to become what we call anti-fragile. And that comes from taking the responsibility and remembering what you're here to do. And then just, it's like, then just do it. Like, really, it's that. I mean, you got to get the education piece down, because if you're doing the wrong thing, of course, that's messed up. But again, these two tools, Technotutor to get the clear on the words and the vocabulary of it, and then the writing. Like, I remember times where I was basically like realizing how much runway I had left in terms of like cash reserves I had. And I'm like, this is low. Like, this is not like I'm freaking. I got to be honest with myself. Like, I'm freaking out. This is like a year and a half ago. I remember Asif, because I would call you and Kien. I'm like, okay, this ain't good. Because I bit off more than I could chew. I had like a wedding coming up. I had all sorts of building the business, doing all sorts of things. And then what I did, because I chatted with Asif and Kien, they gave me some pointers and stuff. They're like, hey, how about you write about this? I'm like, okay, cool. And because I'm willing to take on that responsibility, I then sat down, I took the responsibility of saying, okay, at my next little break here, I'm going to grab an open document on my computer. I'm going to start writing. And I started using the self-forgiveness process and basically said something to the extent of this. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize what I actually need to do in my business to in turn create more money so I can stop this pattern that I've been participating in, where I am cash flow negative or biting off more than I can chew and not having enough coming in. Okay, next line, right? I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to not realize what I need to do today to take the right steps to XYZ and so on and so forth, right? So I'm not going to go into the whole bit of it, but what I'm saying is you can forgive yourself for not accepting and allowing yourself to realize what you actually have to do. And it's like when you lock in that phrase, the forgiveness phrase I just stated, it's like you pierce through the confusion and then you unlock, it's like a bridge to then start to actually create through your words. And it is the most remarkable thing. And I could talk about it all day and you still wouldn't even understand it until you actually just go do the damn thing. So I'd suggest right now, look at what is that thing that is scaring you. Maybe there's 5 things, right? Maybe you realize I don't have enough leads, or you realize I haven't done my taxes yet, or you realize I have a bunch of client fulfillment I have to do and I don't know how to support them, or I gotta close this business, or I gotta start this new business, whatever. It's like you're gonna
or
see.
just your whole life. You're like, oh, I can't manage my girlfriend or my wife or my boyfriend or my husband, and I can't manage my job and I can't manage my business all at once, and I have a cat, and like it's all too much,
Yeah,
whatever that is for you.
yeah. So write that down. Write down whatever that scary thought is, right? And then that scary thought, you're going to then put that onto a piece of paper and then begin that process. Now, again, we don't have time to go into the details of that to make sure you can even do that effectively. So if you want support on that specifically, you got to DM Asif or myself, and we can give you some pointers of what we see works well, because the stuff works and it will help you. Because if you're not doing this, you're going to have a consequence. There's going to be a
Right.
consequence, whether it's physical pain, whether you get sick, whether you lose your hair. Like, I know people and I know widows of people where they worked too hard and they killed themselves. Not like off themselves intentionally, but even I know some people who did that too. But what I'm saying is then these people get something like a liver cancer or pancreatic cancer, and then they die early because they're always there's something with them, right? Some people are always go, 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 and then they're addicted to that. And they're, sure, they make some success, but success in what sense, right? Oh, they have some money, but then the relationship is failing and they still didn't make any real change in the world, or people end up getting this, the suppression will manifest in different ways, right? And that is what we're here. So when we say Young Billionaires Club, right, this is so important. We're saying Young Billionaires Club, and we mean that in the best way, right? So one, of course, we use that money to affect real change in the system, which we have other episodes on that. But also it's, you become a Young Billionaires Club, but you also have a cool family and you have real supportive relationships, and whatever challenges that come up for us, we can face them and handle them with vigor, and we can actually deal with it and resolve it instead of being like a shit, like a traumatic experience, because it feels traumatic. Like when shit hits the fan and you run out of money or you're stressed out, whatever, it is traumatic. It sucks. It is not pleasant. But again, you apply what Asif and I are talking about, and you get to really start to see that you can actually really start to take command of your situation.
So everyone really likes this. We know that self-forgiveness does not sound like some billionaire shit. But that's just because you don't know what billionaire shit is.
Yeah.
Like me and Mitch would not be doing it if it didn't result in our lives getting better every time.
Exactly.
All right. This is the stuff that nobody's going to tell you about. This is stuff that most people don't even know.
Or you listen to these people, right? Like there's some people, I'm not going to name names right now, but there's, a lot of people that I will listen to and I watch what they do because, they're growing a lot of money, growing a lot of influence, all that. And, some of the stuff is pretty helpful and practical, what they say. But then at certain points, they show their cards. And it's not like I'm not saying this like in a malicious way or anything, but like you will hear one of these guys in particular, right? He talks about how the reason that he is so gung-ho, first it was fitness and then it was about business and marketing, and then he's made all this money and he's making like I don't know how much, but he has around 100 million, right, in terms of his like portfolio. And he explains, because I've listened to a lot of his stuff, he says that, yeah, but I started this whole thing because I was so insecure in myself. You don't think that's still influencing him? Do you think insecurity is the best starting point to start a business? Because guess what? Even at the highest level, if he didn't resolve those insecurities, they're still in there, even if he's really damn good at suppressing it. And then if that person has kids or they mentor people, it's like a little bit of corruptedness in it. And so that's why Asif and I talk about self-forgiveness, is because you got to be able to address that deep, dark stuff inside you. It's like a self-intimacy, right? So that you can see into yourself, understand it, why am I this way? Okay, I'm going to correct all the things that aren't actually really supportive for me. And I also realize that it's best for me to make a bunch of money and make a huge impact so that we can make the world a better place. It all makes perfect sense when you can really see it, when you have the education. And again, my point is there's a lot of other people out there who are talking about being a billionaire, or they already are, but you can see they still have points of corruption. And I'm not pretending like Asif and I are totally perfect or anything like that, but we've done a lot of work on ourselves over the past 2.5 years with these specific tools that, I mean, the results are clear, right? You just have to like add us on social media, right? Like come to one of our events. Like you can meet us in person. You will see we can't fake this. There's no
And
point in trying to fake it.
this is the difference between listening to people who are already programmed to be successful versus people who clearly didn't have it figured out. Both of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
We were doing all the self-help, all the personal development, all of it, right? Going to
Yep.
seminars and training with people who make a lot of money and all this stuff. And we
Yep.
still couldn't break through because we weren't programmed for it. If you
Yep.
listen to people who are already programmed for it, they're not going to be able to give you advice that is accurate because they're doing so many things unconsciously, right? Versus, for example, listening to people who are fucking retarded and they have to change a lot in order to even get some level of stability, like me and Mitch. It's like we can actually walk you through the process that we had to walk through. So that's why we're suggesting self-forgiveness.
Yep.
And look, here's the phenomenon, okay? This is, I really want to make clear to anybody who's going through this right now. You're listening to this audio, you're going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever you are, look, it's gonna happen. But there's a couple of things that you have to understand so you actually take this on. First thing is, if you feel like you have to fucking manage so much and you're like, holy shit, but hey, here's a secret. You can up your ability to manage.
Yes.
So it's not that you have to let go of the responsibilities that you have. You're up level. Okay.
Yeah.
Mitch has done it many times. I have done it many times. Brother's done it many times. I watch people do it all the fucking time. You can do it too. You just have to use the tools. If you're not using the tools, you're just going to stay in that mind state of like, I'm going to avoid shit. And hopefully like they don't become worse, and hopefully they solve themselves. Hopefully these people stop reaching out to me to pay bills or whatever the fuck it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to go away. You have to up level. You have to up your processing, your ability to manage many spinning plates at once. You don't hope that the plates go away. Oh, now I went.
Yeah, and you don't get motivated enough to have them go away.
What do you mean by that?
Like, people will then think, oh, I'm fucking overwhelmed. Okay, I just got to go to an event. I got to just listen to Tony Robb. I got to listen to Antifragile, man.
Right.
I'm just going to get pumped up and then I'll just be able to somehow get it done. That's not how it fucking works, buddy. Okay. That's just really you trying to manipulate your emotions to get a change. But that'd be like you trying to increase the processing power of your computer just by like playing the Tony Robbins video on the screen. Like it does not compute. You might feel jacked up for like a day or two, but then you're going to crash. Guaranteed.
Right.
Guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah.
So the other thing to look at is, look, you're going to go through this. If you're not going through it right now, you're going to go through it. Okay. There's a point in everybody's business multiple times that you're like, fuck, I just want to quit and go to a job. Like, I just want to. And
then you're at the job and you're like, fuck, I want to quit this shit and I want to have my own business.
Exactly. It's how it's going to be, because your ego is just designed to fuck you. It's not designed to fuck your business. It's not designed to fuck your business. It's just your ego is designed to fuck you. So it doesn't matter who you're with in terms of a relationship. You're always going to be wanting something else until you solve it, until you do the self-forgiveness and the tech on it consistently over days. Look, the first time when I was 16 or whatever, when I started my first business, some MLM, I fucking quit. A loser. Okay. Even later on, right, within the last 5 years, going through these cycles, it would take me out. These cycles of, oh, it's too much, I can't handle it, right? I can't handle the sales, whatever. It would take me out for 4 months. But then I'd shorten that cycle. It'd take me out for 1 month. And then it would take me out for a week. It'd take a week to figure out, oh, I got to step up and take the responsibility. Before it took me 4 months, then it took me a month, then it took me a week. Now it takes me 3 days, and then 2 days, and then 1 day. And now I'm going through the most intense stress in my life. By the next day, I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do. Within 2 hours, within 45 minutes, I go from, oh my God, like I need to like, oh my God, I can't handle it anymore. I'm going to break. And then 20 to 40 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do.
Yep.
I can move forward. So my point is, don't think it's not going to happen. Don't judge yourself for being, it's now time for solution mode.
Yes.
You got to
Yes.
kick yourself into solution mode.
And so, right, if this could be all summed up into a phrase, it is the only way out is through. And then what that actually means, though, is you got to fucking up level to get through. Like, again, just getting hyped up, yeah, you might get through 2 steps, but then you're going to fall down and take 2 steps back. And so you have to fundamentally increase your abilities, right? And so how do you do that? Right? Find the Discord. It's in the chat. Right? We gotta get you plugged into the community. If you're already in the community, right, you know the tools we talk about, use those even more effectively. If you need support on this specifically, like where you're at, because you think, oh, well, my situation is unique or special, you can DM us, right? We can give some pointers. And we can get you the right trainings or resources or help you really do that for yourself, right? Because this is about empowering other self-leaders and helping other people take responsibility, right? So Asif helped me with that immensely. I'm now at the point where I can help Asif with that immensely. And that's what we've cultivated here with the Young Billionaires Club, is now 100+ people that are able to start to do that for each other too, which is pretty cool. Right. And if you want to be part of that, join in, right? And let's really go to that next level. You just got to remember, breathe. I know it feels momentarily like you're dying and you're going to freak out. Just breathe and then do the process, right? Do the self-forgiveness, right? Use the tools, and then you can make it through, but ultimately it's going to be up to you.
Exactly. The only way out is through. You can't avoid it. You can't go around it. You can't shortcut it. You can't bypass it. Nothing like that. The only out is through.
Bam, baby. All right. Well, that is it for today. We will see y'all in the next audio experience, and share the stuff with your friends, right? Share it with 3 people. Jump in that Discord. Leave a comment too.
Yeah.
Like, what are you actually going to do from this, right? I want to know that. One thing to listen, it's another thing to do. All right. Cool.
See you later, everybody.